Hello everybody, I'm here today. Sorry, being shit food. I feel really groggy after that, but I'm here today for another TF2 rant. This is not a good start to my usual TF2 rant, but anyway, as you can see, today I'm playing more TF2, and I am going to talk about something that, I don't know, people, it's very mixed reaction. It depends on what game it's involved in. It really is biased depending on what game it is. Now, if you're wondering, which you probably are, I'm talking about silent protagonists. Now, silent protagonists are a pretty big part of gaming at this point. A lot of video games tend to put silent protagonists in the middle of their game, as in you're the silent protagonist. So, for various reasons, and I'm going to go through a few of them, and I'm going to see if it's a good or bad thing. That's kind of the point of this video. First things first, the very good thing about silent protagonists is the immersion it provides you. Now, for characters such as Gordon Freeman or Link in Zelda, like those kind of games, you kind of need the immersion. You're better off with people not talking, and you're in the middle of it. Other people's dialogue carry it, and you're just there doing your role, and you're not talking and taking up the thing. Like, of course there are examples of people talking and making it more immersive, like Duke Nukem, but let's be honest, you don't feel as immersed in the old Duke Nukem games or in any of the games where they talk. Like the new Wolfenstein game's funny, they're both shooters, but like in any game where they talk, you feel a bit less immersed because you really, mind you, you're not really them. Now, I'm not saying you are them, but you have to admit that when you're playing it, you feel like you're a part of the world because the person doesn't talk. You feel like you're the person, and you feel like you're filling in your own certain role in this world, and really it gives you a very good sense of significance, which is what makes silent protagonists so good. Silent protagonists for a long time have been awesome. Like, very good example is Gordon Freeman. Like, when they're not shouting Gordon Freeman, you're just doing your own thing. You're killing shit, no one's shouting your name, and you are completely silent. You feel like it's you killing those zombies and head crawlers. Long time since I played Half-Life. Like, another part, Shell. They rarely say your name because you feel like you're Shell. You feel like you're a part of this world. That's why Portal is my favorite Valve game, because you feel like you're in the middle of the game and you feel like GLaDOS is directly insulting you and wondering how you're getting past this. Like, very good example, like, of course there's some other games that rely on this, like Fallout or Skyrim. Those kind of open world games heavily rely on it, because if they didn't, you would just be some boring ass guy talking who probably pissed you off. Because you're a silent protagonist, usually, of course, you make noises when you fall and shit, but I don't really count that. In those kinds of situations, it's very good. Like in BioShock, spoiler alert, major spoiler alert for BioShock 1 if you want to skip this, Jack is amazing because you feel immersed, and when the spoiler happens that he's been tricking you the entire time, like you've been tricked as well. And the reason that works so well is because there's a silent protagonist not saying stupid shit. He's just letting you figure it out for yourself. And that's why I loved BioShock so much. It's also why people love Skyrim, Fallout, because the immersion it provides you is fantastic. The immersion is amplified tenfold thanks to these kinds of things. Now that I've gotten past what makes them so good, I'm going to talk about why they've become a problem. In games that don't rely that heavily on immersion, like for example Dishonored, I love Dishonored, but I think it would have been just as well off if Corvo talked. Like, it's nothing wrong with Corvo not talking, but it seemed like he should have talked, like to reassure Elizabeth once, or to just go, "Hey Empress, turn around, you're gonna get stabbed. Okay, never mind, she's dead." You know, it would have been better than just... That silence was intentional, by the way. See, it's just not as good games where it feels like you should be talking, like in Dishonored or Grand Theft Auto 3. It's another silent protagonist where it feels tacked on and it feels like you really should be talking and say something. Like, really, sometimes games that don't require this level of immersion that other games do, they just tack it in because they require this immersion, and they don't go through the enough effort to actually make the gameplay immersive enough. They just rely on the fact that you'll think you're that person when you're not talking. Although I just said how good it is for that, you have to very heavily rely on that, and you have to be very good at creating a good atmosphere and making you feel like you're a part of it. some great games can't do that. Well, if that's the case, then you should have a voice for the person who plays them, and not just tack on a silent protagonist because you want to increase the immersion. It doesn't always work. Like, a very good example of this is in more modern generic shooters like Call of Duty. Now, don't jump down my throat because I just said Call of Duty is a generic shooter. It's not always a generic shooter, but be honest with yourself. When you were playing Modern Warfare 2 and Ramirez was being shouted at commands, didn't you feel like Ramirez at some point should have said, "Hey, General, fuck you, shut up, god damn it, get some other soldier to do it"? Like, I feel like at one point Ramirez should have done that. And in games like these, I feel like they're just tacking it on so you feel more immersed, but it doesn't work. Like, the reason it worked in Fallout is because there's this massive immersive world and you can completely avoid the campaign in favor of some amazing adventure. Then that's great for immersive, and it wouldn't have worked as well if you did talk in that situation. The problem is all these different games are just throwing it in there because they think it's necessary. What I'm trying to do right now is clearly show the line between what should be done and what is happening. Now, like, what's happening is so many games that, like, just they don't talk, and it kind of takes you out of how good the game is sometimes. Now, some games it's better they don't talk, but it really depends on how you play or how the game is made in the first place. Anyway, I want your opinions on this. Like, I think that originally when it first came out with Half-Life 1 and all these older shooters and all these older games, and especially multiplayer games, it was a better experience because they were silent and you were immersed, and they made a perfect atmosphere for your immersion. They made it a better game because of the silence. But in more recent times, they seem to just tack it on, maybe because they can't afford a voice actor, but I doubt it because they have skyrocketed in budgets lately. Yeah, that's kind of it. That's all I really wanted to talk about, how, you know, it's an amazing concept that's overused to death. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. If you liked what you saw, then I'll see you guys next time. If you didn't like what you saw, then I won't see you guys next time. Feel free to like and subscribe. Bye.